There is one thing that every Aspie needs, and we've got 4 considerations to help explain this. And as always, we save the best till last. So you want to watch all the way to the end of this. Now, I've got a qualified physician. I've got a qualified accountant. I've got a qualified financial advisor. I've got a qualified neurologist. I've got a qualified cardiologist. I've got a qualified physical therapist. I've got qualified attorney. Actually, I've got a bunch of friends who are lawyers. I've got a qualified auto mechanic. Yeah, I've got a guy who's in his 60s and he knows everything there is to know about cars if you could possibly know it. He's one of those guys, you get him on the phone and you run the engine and he can tell you what type of vehicle it is. Sometimes he can tell you the model, the make, the size of engine. Anyhow, he's qualified. That's the type of people you need in your life, qualified. Now, the one thing that Aspie needs is a qualified therapist. My opinion, disagree if you want, but let me tell you why. And here are 4 things you need to consider. And again, the most important thing is at the very end. We've got 4 of these things. Number 1 is consider what is at stake. Your mental health is the foundation of your entire life. If your brain is out of kilter, your mind, I should say, is out of kilter, if something's amiss there, it affects, just everything. It affects your family. It affects your job. It affects your education. Anything in your life. It all hinges on this one thing. So it is so important to have somebody in your life who is a specialist. So number 1 is this. Consider what is at stake. Now, consideration number 2 is there is no substitute for a qualified therapist. Now, keep in mind, I'm using the adjective qualified before all of these things. I got a qualified physician. I don't need just any physician. I want somebody who's qualified, somebody who knows what they're doing. I need a qualified attorney. I don't need just anybody who just got out of law school. I wish them well, but I need somebody who knows my circumstances and my situation who is qualified. Auto mechanic again. I need somebody who knows their way around an automobile, and same thing is true with a therapist. You need somebody who is qualified, and there is no substitute for that. Now, the reason I say that is I love to make YouTube videos, and there are a lot of people who love to make YouTube videos, and some of them have this niche where they focus on Asperger syndrome or other mental health issues. But folks, watching YouTube videos, as important as they are, because you have like immediate access 24/7, I get it, but they're not a substitute. And many of the people who are making these videos, like me, come from a perspective of life experience, which is important, vitally important. I'm nearly 70 years old and I've learned a thing or two, and I like to share with people what I've learned. I've been in Aspie since before I was born. So whatever stage of life you were in, been there, done that. Maybe not exactly the same thing you're going through, but I've gone through that stage of life, unless you're like in your 80s. But still, that is no substitute for somebody who is qualified to be a therapist, because they deal with this. If you get someone who specializes in autism, they've been doing this, they do this all day long. They go to the office, they talk to people, they study it, they went to school and studied it, they are experts. Now, I know there are some people out there who are better than others, and maybe you've had a bad experience in your life with a therapist, but still. People who make YouTube videos are not good substitutes for therapists. Your friends and family, as important as they are, and I don't mean to discount those people. I'm just saying that a podcast is not the same as a counseling session. And your friends and family, they have good intentions, I hope, but still, they're not qualified. They don't know the ins and outs. They're just making off-the-cuff suggestions or observations, which I guess are useful, and you can take those to your therapist and talk about it, but they're just not a good substitute. All right, consideration number 3 is this. When you talk to a therapist, you will get individual attention. So, yes, YouTube videos are excellent. I think so. If the person actually knows what they're talking about and they come from a life perspective where they have gone through it and they've done that, if they really know what they're talking about, I'm all for it. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't. But that's not the same as getting individual attention from somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. And that's what a therapist is. That is somebody who gives you individual attention. So you go into the office, you sit down, you have a conversation with a person, they ask you questions. And so from their education and their study and their full-time experience working with people, they can help you out tremendously. I can interact with people. You know, you can, and I do. You put a message, comment at the end of this video in the comment section, and I will interact with you. But that's not the same as sitting down with somebody and exploring their personal needs. And besides that, I'm not a qualified expert. My laboratory, my education has been life. I call it life's laboratory, and I've learned a lot of things, and I want to share those with you. But still, it's not the same as giving somebody individual attention from the perspective of a professional. And number 4, and finally, is this. And I told you this is the single most important thing. And that is a therapist will give you individual personal interaction. It's not just that they give you attention, which is obviously very important, but they're also interacting with you. They ask you questions on purpose. They know which questions to ask you. So when I talk to people on YouTube and others talk to people on YouTube, we're speaking in general terms, and we may focus on something that applies to somebody else. May apply to you, may not, may a little bit apply to you, maybe not, but a therapist, it's personal attention, and then they move that to interaction, where you sit down, you have a conversation, and they can explore what you're going through on that one-on-one basis. So that is so very important. My opinion, disagree with me if you want. That's why we have a comment section. You can agree with me, I hope so, in the comment section as well. But that's it. You need, the one thing that I think every Aspie needs is a therapist. And no, you don't have to go see them every week or every month. Sometimes it may be years before you see your therapist, but you got to have somebody, in my opinion, got to have somebody that you can call up and talk to, set an appointment where you go in and have that one-on-one personal help. Take a look at those 2 rectangles on your screen. Those are more videos that we have made in the past. And when we make videos and upload them to YouTube, these things are good forever because principles just don't change. So you can watch a video that we made, say, a year ago, and that's as good as if we made it today. So it's always fresh. So explore some of the other things that we have at your disposal right here on YouTube.